Hi everyone, once again. Uh, Emergency happens, and sometimes we need to take some emergency actions. And now for this panel, unfortunately, two emergency situations occurred, which are not very severe, but for organizational purposes, Sarah Elaine Eaton, unfortunately, will not be able to join. And this is the case also for the moderator, Dr. Mustafa Yunus Eryaman. So we will have two panelists, and I will be moderating the session. So in this session, specifically, we would like to focus on how generative AI is affecting scholarly publication. And for this purpose, we will have two distinguished panelists. One panelist from, okay, this time I will say it correctly, Dr. Shiva Subramanian, okay, from Roehampton University, UK. He is also the co-editor of Journal of Academic Ethics, which is published by Springer Nature. We also have Muawiya Ahmet Hamza, Dr. Muawiya Ahmet Hamza. Dr. Muawiya is from King Fahd Medical City, specifically dealing with medical publication. Dr. Muawiya is also a member of NIVG, which is specifically addressing ethical publication issues and led by Dr. Ivan Landing. So, in today's session, I'm sure we all have several questions in our mind when it comes to ethical publication, especially in the era of generative AI. So, I'd like to start with this question. How so far has generative AI affected publication habits? You can respond to this question both from an editor's perspective or from a professor's perspective who is encouraging early career research specifically. So, Dr. Shiva, I'd like to first start with, if possible, from an editorial perspective, please.
Yeah, thanks for that question. Actually, as an editor, I just wanted to recapitulate things that has happened in my past. Is that I am a pharmacologist by nature, and I did a PhD in pharmacology, investigating three different drugs, and all three different drugs are now banned. So that means my PhD is rubbish. So the reason I'm telling you that is the fact that that is where we are in the position of publication, because we got the old or relatively old guidelines and profiles from the journals, and we got a new challenge or new opportunity, which is the AI. So most of the time, the journals are now catching up, like we did 1 or 2 years ago as academic. Still, many of the academic institutions are not up to date yet regarding the policies. So as far as the policies is concerned, the publishers are more or less catching. So I think recently I can quote a paper by Connor Ganji is they analyze about 100 different high edge index publishing companies and journals, and then found out that only 24% has got something on a policy basis on AI. And within that 24%, there's so much of heterogeneity in the information given. Some of them are saying that image manipulation is not allowed. The others are saying image manipulation is allowed, provided the algorithm that has been used as explicitly explained. So can you see the difference there? I think we are actually catching up. And I'm a kind of guy that in an ideal world, we need to work together as publishers, as journal editors, and then come up with one solution or one guideline. That is difficult, and especially in the medical field, probably why I will go further in that. Both of us are from that field. Is the fact that for us, AI has already started in 1990. For example, when I started my lectureship, there was a term called artificial network. That artificial network already become bioinformatics and genomics. So all those information produced by bioinformatics and genomics are already producing artificial network infused data. So how are you going to define that? So that is the problem. So it is not that just everybody think about. It's not just ChatGPT or the generative AI models that are actually producing some kind of written text. There are more towards AI. That is where the publisher need to some catch.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva. It's good to see that. Indeed, we are talking about ChatGPT. Only after 2022, November 2022, but we know that indeed artificial intelligence dates back to digital computers. So for several decades, we have been benefiting from artificial intelligence, but now we started to see other dimensions, so which increase the attention of any people. Thank you. Dr. Movia, what about your case?
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to have been here in the panel with Professor Dr. Salim and Professor Shiva, the first two persons that I met in the area of academic integrity back to 2015 in Berlin, Republic. And I'm delighted to talk about this very crucial issue. We are, as the medical researchers, we would want it to, whatever information that we produce is with human health, and it has to be very accurate. And the use of artificial intelligence tools, it has multifaceted, can be seen from different sides. It might be very helpful from one side and can be very harmful when it comes to, we are aware yesterday, maybe Dr. Zinas talked about artificial intelligence hallucination, where the data might be inaccurate, and here when it comes to human health, we would want to see some results that are published, are reliable, and the reliability and authenticity of the results are not questionable. Unfortunately, the data generated so far from artificial intelligence tools might be susceptible to some sort of inaccuracy because they cannot check the authenticity of the references, just gather information through the algorithms from different sources without checking the reliability and the credibility of the information. So I would say, and from the other hand, it might help in improving the writing from this sense of linguistically, but from the factual knowledge, you have to go back to use the conventional way of writing because it helps in analyzing the data in the most appropriate, generated from this whatever research study in the most appropriate way, and also when you go and think as a human being, we are more smarter than the machines and more smarter than the tools that we've already developed by ourselves. So I would say it's better to encourage our students, our colleagues and students to develop and to upgrade their skills in writing. Also to develop their skills in critical thinking which cannot be achieved via the artificial intelligence tools.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moria. Indeed, sometimes our students or our colleagues are asking for our feedback regarding the use of any artificial intelligence tools, especially generative AI tools, when it comes to writing publications. And we see that there are some drawbacks. Now, when we check the umbrella organizations such as European Network for Academic Integrity, for example, they publish guidelines on ethical implementation of such tools. And from the guidelines, as you have already acknowledged, we can understand that there are issues concerning reliability and accuracy of the information, along with biased responses that might be coming from AI tools because of their limited background knowledge about the topic. So considering this, any product by generative AI tools require human attention. Now, after making a reference to this and making a reference also to Committee on Publication Ethics statement on authorship issues, maybe if there are anyone who are not familiar with this, after the emergence of ChatGPT, a few journals very quickly there is a Nature paper citing this, for example. Only after 2 months, at least 4 papers were published where ChatGPT was listed as a co-author. Then Committee on Publication Ethics had an immediate statement indicating their concerns about this. They highlighted that ChatGPT or the other generative AI tools cannot be listed as authors because they cannot cover the responsibilities of authorship. I'm pretty sure your journal did not list any generative AI tools as co-authors, but after this statement, Dr. Shiva, did you change your policies or what happens? Let's say, for example, I submit an article and I declare that I benefited from a generative AI tool or several generative AI tools. What is your reaction at the first decision about this?
Yeah, it's a complex process because I think this is where the editors as well as the viewers should work together. It's all about the context. So I mean, I am a co-editor for a academic integrity. So in that context, it's much more easier whether it is machine generated or it is with the human input or analysis of the machine generated stuff. But if we go beyond that, and again I'm going back to my own subject area, that is where the problem starts. Some of the machine generated data are reliable, has been published even long before the name generative AI came. I can give you some example. One example is that we call genomic analysis, or you could previously take a small amount of blood, put it into the genomic analyzer. It will tell what are the probabilities of the proteins that are increased or probability of proteins that are decreased. From that, we pick some protein, do further analysis. For me, that is fine, as long as the further analysis data supports the data provided by the genomics, and it has been published in several papers. So there are 2 issues. The main issue I am really worried about the effective and ethical usage of artificial intelligence in scientific research. That's a broad area. But in the integrity research, it might not be that difficult because we can work with the publishers, work with the authors, and then understand whether it is generated entirely by machine or there is an input or analysis on the student or on on the human subject. I'm a true believer. Probably, if there are any computer scientists or artificial intelligence are here, please forgive me. that there's no alternative for human brain. Maybe from the medical side, we have the power, maybe we are dumb, but we effectively use our brain. There's no alternative for human brain and its processing capacity and the decision-making capacity. And so far, that's true, the artificial intelligence has not come to that point yet. But I'm saying yet, it might be possible because every day it is changing. And then yesterday I heard some people say that we did the analysis with the ChatGPT 3 and it worked very well. No, because the ChatGPT 4 is there. So all the data you produce by ChatGPT 3 may not be helpful. So this is the context. I mean, I think I have a feeling we come to the point that each submission should be scrutinized. This is where the editors comes into play. And then see, even though there's an acknowledgement about the artificial intelligence, even though there is an acknowledgement about the algorithm they have used, we need to see that whether that has got some human input and whether the human are there to take the responsibility of whatever the data is produced. Because machine cannot take the responsibility. And even if you, I mean, I'm one of those people who put the ChatGPT 3 that try to ask questions about, so many questions about integrity. And after that, the last question was how to make the aubergine curry. And then the artificial intelligence answered a fantastic recipe for aubergine curry. And the last sentence, it increases the moral judgment of the human being. So the artificial intelligence understood what I am for, and I wanted to profile the artificial intelligence. In the end, I was profiled. So that is where the circle of vicious circle goes on. So my advice is it should be submission basis decision should be made. So if one submission we can go through as long as we got enough proof to say that there is a human involvement in the data analysis or data production, and also even the algorithm has been used, has been explained well, then we might be forced to accept. And that is where the reviewers comes in. And the reviewers will say, okay, no, I'm not. So sometimes we might have to even go for the third review. I mean, I'm currently dealing with one of the submissions that I went to the third review to see whether he is agreeing with one of those or coming up with any other new ideas. So there.
Okay, thank you, Riva, calling our attention to reviewer 2. You know who the reviewer 2 is here. Okay. So especially I'd like to make a reference to image manipulation regarding what you responded to the first 2 questions. I guess I read some news about image manipulation yesterday from Elizabeth Bick, who devoted all her expertise for image manipulation. And there seems to be some good news. Data will be coming from Google. So it seems that the identification of image manipulation will be easier in the future. So generative AI seems to be helpful in the identification of image manipulation, which means something good for you, as specifically medical experts. Now, I'd like to move to Dr. Wong once again, and I know that you have a good research team at Info Medical City with the collaboration of several other institutions from your country, Saudi Arabia. So I wonder, after the emergence of ChatGPT, considering that we have several other generative AI tools, how do you keep the reputation of yourself, your own publications, your team's publication, and also your institution's publication? So do you have any training provided to your research team, considering how they can, because you already mentioned the risks of using generative AI tools. So how do you especially focus your attention to this topic for the prevention of any failures in the future?
I strongly believe in that prevention is better than cure. And we've started earlier as introduction of ChatGPT in 2022 by holding several seminars and several webinars this issue. And I remember that our colleague, Professor Zinas Khan, participated in one of our webinars. And we've, I believe, strongly believe in education and raising the awareness of people is better measure to take to face any new advances in scientific community. And yesterday, Prof. Sarah mentioned that the technology panic in putting chronological order since the introduction of radio and then TV and the internet. Unfortunately, this time, people, and I don't know whether it's fortunately or unfortunately, people receive the ChatGPT and artificial intelligence tools with technology panic, but in the other direction. Everyone would want to use it, and they don't know how to protect themselves from the. And I believe in the artificial intelligence as tools can be used or abused or misused. And yes, I believe in educating people is the best way to start with before we think about policies, and then we move to policies to that like another defense line to protect the people from the misuses of artificial intelligence tools.
Okay, thank you, Mario. Now I have some news to Shiva. I'm not sure whether you are aware of this because I saw it again on social media. Was it yesterday or the other day? Which was posted by Loretta. Yeah. So she warned the community, academic integrity community, that their journal has been hijacked. So probably you're aware of this. So I know that under Dr. Irene's leadership in the BG, we are talking about hijacked journals. However, we never taught it so far. They hijacked a journal specifically addressing ethical publication, Journal of Academic Ethics. So maybe it is a good opportunity to warn the delegates about what a hijacked journal is and how they can prevent submitting papers to hijacked journals.
Hijacked journals, probably I may not be the expert. The expert is in the audience. So what I would, from what I learned from IB is the fact that, most of the time the hijacked journals, most of the time what they do is that when we move from one URLs to other URLs, they took that the old URL and then they actually hijack that. And I have a feeling I didn't have time to, due to my personal circumstances, I didn't have time to have it. Loretta, that's what happened to our job. So I think for the authors, my advice is that you need to check the credibility of maybe the name is the same, but you might have, you can contact the editors or contact the people who are already submitted onto the journal to see whether it's the same journal or different. Sometimes even the web look would be the exactly same, following the same impact factor and everything. So I think again, this is the other thing I want to tell you about the AI as well. As authors, we need to take the lead to find out whether the hijacked journal is actually hijacked or the original journal as well. There are ways to look at it as well, and you can contact with the editor-in-chief or contact the sub-editor, contact the people who have been tweeting. And also, I think, in this case, the social media has helped us in a way that we already published that there is a problem with that as well. And on our part, I think we are trying to contact the authors in such a way to explain how to deal with it. And as for AI as well, I would like to say about this something about small image manipulation. And again, for biomedical sciences, there are certain level of image manipulation already has happened. But the images of the positive image and the negative image have undergone the same manipulation using the same database. That kind of accepted by many journals. That is, I think it is time for us to revisit that as well. Because whether that is the true image manipulation. If you ask me, I will say that there's no image manipulation. However, there are areas where you can't actually publish the entire photograph. You need to do some kind of manipulation, the publication papers. But some authors actually, especially with the advent of AI, they are using this opportunity to manipulate further. That we need to.
Okay, thank you, Shiva. Now, Moria, for you, you are a member of INAI Ethical Publication and Dissemination Working Group, and I know that recently the working group has published guidelines, a checklist, specifically address especially early career researchers to prevent submitting papers to predatory journals. Would you like to spread the word about this checklist and how they would prevent themselves publishing papers in predatory journals, please?
Thank you so much. Again, I will, Prof. Iron is the best one to talk about it, but on our behalf and behalf of the committee, I might say that this list is meant to help all the young researchers and young scientists to how to figure out the proper journals, the credible journals, and the literary journals, and from different aspects, from the title, from the body of the journal, and from different aspects, as I mentioned. You can, if you read if you have the time to read the checklist, you can discriminate easily between literary journal and proper journals. And this is made available in the website of DNI. And it's very, very helpful. I can see it's very helpful. And actually, we have had a couple of workshops to educate people about the literary journals, especially the young researchers, early career researchers. And I found it very helpful, especially in my I replicate whatever been done in the workshop in our institution. I found it very helpful. A lot of young researchers admit that they felt for the first time to know about the journals, and a lot of some of them had already, unfortunately, some of them had already fall as a victim for literary publications and literary conferences. And yeah, I can see the checklist have helped a lot, and I encourage every one of you to disseminate it among his colleagues and students.
Yes, if you visit INAI's webpage, you will see the BGs there, and you can have an access to the related checklist from the BG's webpage. I'd like to also to contribute to what Dr. Muawiyah has already said. I'd like to also tell that there are some other options to check predatory journals, such as blacklists. Probably the most famous one is the Bill's blacklist, which is inactive for some time as he retired from his university, but some other people is maintaining his list anonymously on the web page. However, there are some dangers of depending merely on blacklists. So it may not be the best approach, however, might be helpful to some extent. Maybe Cable's list, if we have any librarians here, I'm not sure. Having an institutional access to Cable's list might be a better opportunity because they are both providing blacklists and whitelists in addition to justification about why they put these journals or publishers in their whitelist or blacklist. So again, we will need a holistic approach here, as Mary acknowledged in her keynote address here, to prevent the issue. Okay, considering that we had a delayed start, so we can say that we can welcome only one or two short questions and leave the rest of the discussion for lunch break in order to keep that we will still have food. Okay, if you have any questions, we can Milan.
I have one comment about data. Without genomic data, if there is Shiva. Problem is genomic data that from raw data, it's possible. I have different annotations. So with different programs, you have different results. And this data is used as a base for analysis. So you have a lot of possibilities to make mistakes. It's very these data are very unreliable, and it's very hard. Is I think very hard is to inspect, for example, for an editor, if these data are fake data or data is real data. Also, from this data, it's possible to produce diagrams, pictures, etc. And so it's not so easy to find if something is fake or not. We have many papers, a lot of production, and I think a lot of fake results. For example, this Australian from Monash University, 20 years they produce papers and falsify data. This is how I say. But if they have whistleblower, nobody knows this. They work for drugs. This is one thing. Another thing I think is also some publishing house like MDBI from the end. There is many journals which don't have a good review process. It's possible to publish in 1-2 weeks. These reviews are not so quality. Only please improve a little English. We will publish. Please give us 1,000 euros or more.
Yeah, just to add on to that, that's the reason I said that. I mean, I think I said this a very long time ago. Nowadays, most of the biomedical science journals are actually insisting that as well. What they are asking now is that any bioinformatics data or any data directly from the AI should be more or less verified by either either laboratory analysis or by clinical analysis. So that is where the human analysis comes in. So that is a good approach, because not all the biogenetic data are bad. As you said, many of them are, but only way to verify is through the laboratory analysis. So, I mean, I normally say to my PhD student is that those of you who can understand the analytical science side of it, that if you got a protein that is highlighted by bioinformatic data, do a Western blot to prove it. So that means you got AI generated data, which is more or less ratified by the human analysis. So I think that is the way forward. And image manipulation, again, as Salim has already said, that there are, again, probably AI generated companies or portals that are going to detect that as well. But it will take some time as well. And again, image manipulation, at the moment, what we normally do is send us the original image as well. So as publishers, we have the right to ask for the original image. And sometimes they send, because of the publishing the guideline, instead of sending the entire plot, they only send the bands. We ask them, okay, send the plots to see whether they are sending band there as well. So I think as publishers, as journal editors, we need to check each and everything. And also we need to work closely with the reviewers. And then if possible, we might have to do an additional reviewer to get a verification.
Shake the hornet. So I'm going to shake the hornet's nest. Let's say I have written a paper using AI, right? I've gone in, I've read it, then I've put in the citations wherever I need to. So I've done that bit of due diligence, and I submit it. It gets reviewed and it gets published. What's wrong with this process? Is there something wrong with this process?
I mean, these things are already happening because it gets
Correct.
published and then retracted as well. So,
But why retracted? Let's say I have done my research, I've got my data, I've done the analysis. Now I need to write this paper, right? Maybe I don't have time, maybe I have the best flow of English writing, whatever it might be, right? So I know my prompts, so I'm giving the prompts directly to generative AI for the paragraphs. So each paragraph, I'm giving the prompt, then I'm copying and putting into the paper. Then I'm reading the paragraph and I'm going and putting in the citations. Okay, when it comes to methodology, of course, I know what my method was. I describe the method to the ChatGPT or whatever. They recreate the paragraph for me. I put it back in the paper. So basically, that's how I've created the paper.
so that is actually, depending on how much the human influence, the human input is.
So
I mean,
this
for
is my
example,
question.
I think we had a chat yesterday or day before. What's the point? Giving a reference or citation to ChatGPT or whatever, because the next time they go and check the same question,
It's not
it will come up with a different answer.
correct.
But in your case, what you are doing is that you have got the answer, went back and checked the reference, original reference, and then based on that, you are changing it. I am assuming you are changing the
Yes,
sentence.
the author is
Yeah.
maybe
So
restructuring
that is
here and
the
there.
interaction we are looking.
Right. So that's what I mean. You see, unfortunately, how do we distinguish that this would be a genuine paper, would be accepted as a genuine paper? Although most of it may actually have been written by generative AI.
Yeah, this is the problem I highlighted in the first sentence. It's the
Exactly.
fact that it's only 24% of the published journals are got some guidelines.
Yeah,
And even out of 24, there's so much of heterogeneity in the guidelines. And then sometimes, if, for example, if your paper is, instead of retracted, is rejected, if you go to the end of the journal, it might be accepted because according to, that is what we need a common policy to journal editors. I think they are working on it, I think.
yes, I think because a lot of PhD students, new early career researchers are facing a lot of concern.
Yeah.
Because I've actually had this case come to us at the center.
Yeah.
And because the student went and and shared with their mentor how they had produced it. They were being honest about it. They got into trouble. They had a disciplinary case happening against them, and then the mentor contacted the journal editors to retract the paper. But when you read the paper and you see the work the student had done, it reflects the student's work.
So this is where probably the internal process might help, because some of the university, including my university, if you want to publish some paper, that you write the paper, then there's an internal process going to the more as an independent advisor, and then probably he will pick up, and then he will probably ask the right question. But in your case, I would more or less go with accepting the paper, because you are verifying every single.
And he was devastated. He said, doctor, why was I being honest? They would never have known.
It's more or less giving a penalty for an honest person.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I wanted to know, like, what would be the thought process for the journal, just because the mentor has contacted them. After the review, accepting the paper, they retracted.
I mean, from my experience from the scientific journal side of it, if the mentor has contacted, then my approach would be soft approach. When it happened to me as a mentor, I contacted. I think there's a mistake of one photograph which should not have been included. It's not manipulated, but it's a different date. And then I contacted them. They said, okay, have you got the right response? And then he said, yeah, we got the right response, and then they accepted it. So that kind of, the mentor contacting the editor, most of the time I felt that the editors are much more cooperative and helpful. But it is the whistleblowers and others come, then they're the problem. But in your case, a unique case, because it might become a norm in the future. Because
but why not, right? Because I think this is a fantastic example of cognitive observing, right?
I'm sure this is quite interesting discussion, and considering that the food is waiting for us, we are eager to have food. But just very short final remark from Moavia before we finalize the session. What is your final remark, Moavia?
As I've said, mentioned earlier, I believe in education and raising awareness as a best strategy to deal with every new issue in education. As we know, education and evaluation, especially in education, is very rapidly moving and highly dynamic and changes fastly and rapidly. So we have to educate people about the uses of artificial intelligence in scientific writing and the use of them as in assessment. And I believe this is going to change the entire landscape of scientific writing. If we are going to change it to the best uses of the artificial intelligence tools. Before I leave, I just want to say that our colleague, Mr. Manav Shaheen, is going to present today our efforts in probing the awareness of our colleagues in King Fahd Medical City, and we have the second health cluster about their awareness about the use of artificial intelligence, which will be presented after lunch, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moavia. Thank you, Dr. Shiva. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Ryan Glenn, please.